Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit, Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening, folks, and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be tuning into episode 106 of the Football Out West show. My name is Tonchi Prusak. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. And have we got a show planned for you folks tonight. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be an absolute beauty. And as he does each week, coming live to you from his studio, Steve Curtin, my co-host. How are you, Steve? Great to have you on the show again.
Yeah, good to be here again, Tonch. Another exciting weekend of football across Melbourne and across Victoria to dissect tonight. Can't wait to do it. But someone who's had an even bigger weekend than most of us is yourself, Tonchi. You've been to Bendigo.
I talk about someone else. Mate, I have been in Bendigo. I literally just got back home from Bendigo. Boys FC, Girls FC tournament up there. I was up there involved with my team, my under-12 team that I coach, North Geelong Warriors. And I'm a proudest punch coach. I have to put it up there. Under-12 plate champions. Mate, first time up there. And it was great to run into people from, all different clubs around the western suburbs. And I've heard about it. I've heard so much about it. I didn't realise just how big it is. Two things, Steve. It is a massive tournament. If you ever do get a chance to go up there and spend the weekend up in Bendigo, your old neck of the woods, it's a fantastic tournament. But secondly, as well, it's just a lovely weekend, just an absolute delightful weekend. And, the different teams get to know each other, parents, coaches, players. It's just an amazing experience, full stop. So was absolutely privileged to be up in Bendigo. I know Craig Filer calls Wales God's country, but look, mate, for a weekend holiday, weekend getaway, Bendigo's not too far behind. But Now, speaking of Craig Filer, we haven't had him on the show for quite a couple of weeks. He's been sort of AWOL, if you like. But guess what? Folks?
No one saw this coming. Hey, who is this guy? Long time no see.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we both?
Now, apparently even the missus doesn't know you're on tonight, so we'll try and keep it quiet. But great to have you back, mate. How are you?
Yeah, she doesn't know I'm on, so please be quiet. I'm trying to keep the volume down in the office here, but now she's gone to work tonight, so it's a grand opportunity for me to jump back on with you two lovely gents and talk football as we do each week.
Here, look at that.
It's a long time since I come on. I've grown. God, it needs a cut, doesn't it?
It does. Mate, you've had a whirlwind start to the 2023 football season. You're heavily involved in one of the NPL2 clubs. And mate, you off the air, you were just saying how time consuming and full on that is, mate. As a coach, not many people understand a lot of the work that goes on behind the scenes. And you have been getting all the guests for us behind the scenes, working really, really ever so hard. So, folks, Craig hasn't been bludging. No, he's been really putting it in. But how are you seeing the start of the 2023 winter season from your end?
Yeah, look, I think I speak on behalf of everybody who's in a coaching role. It's not something you take lightly. It's not something that you can put a couple of hours a week into it and give your best. It really is time consuming. And if my bosses are listening, please switch off now. But I probably spend more time. I spend more time doing football stuff than I do my actual work, which, sometimes is not a good thing. But I suppose I'm lucky in the role that I have that I'm able to do that. But yeah, look, it's really challenging. NPL2, as we all know, as some people are calling it around the traps, is the Chaos League, and everybody's beating everybody, and the score lines of surprise from one week to the next. It really is. And yeah, look, it's a really challenging role, a really challenging job when you're doing the coaching, and it doesn't just stop at Saturday afternoon. It starts again Sunday morning when you start planning and thinking about the following week. So yeah, but look, I'm glad to come on tonight and have a chat with you. It's been a while. Looking forward to it.
Now, Craig, as you said, you've worked very, very hard over the last few weeks behind the scenes, touching base with all your numerous football industry contacts, getting us the guests. So thanks, mate, for that. This show is no exception. We have got some beauties lined up. Tell us who's on the show tonight.
Yeah, we have, and I'm stealing to Steve's thunder now because Steve is normally the guy that does this, so I feel a little bit I'm putting him out of place.
No, I'm just chilling out. This is nice.
Chilling out, mate. Yeah. What beers you got tonight? Just before I do announce who's on, what's our can we've got in front of you tonight? Have we got one?
I couldn't mention because we haven't got a sponsorship deal yet. But if you mention it, we might have in the next hour. If anyone at Moondog wants to get on board with the sponsorship for the show, they make some good products. Fizz is a handy one to have on a Sunday night. So
fantastic. Watch the phone calls come in now. Look who we got on tonight. We've got. He is a friend of the show. He's been on a few times with us. The Port Melbourne head coach, Adam Piddick, is going to come on. His side have had a stumbling start to the season, but a fantastic result yesterday down at a place where magic seems to happen, Steve. Every week,
chaos
some kind of chaos. Yes, that's the one. So we'll look forward to speaking to Adam. We then crossing over to State League One. I'd say they're probably the title favourites for State League One this year. The big spending, hard hitting Sydenham Park. And we've got Goran Lozanovski who's taken charge at the club this season.
And can I just cut you off there, Craig? Speaking of Sydenham Park, our major sponsor for this year, Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp. Big shout out to Nick. Nick's actually heavily involved with Sydenham Park. So we're looking forward to having Sydenham Park for the first time this year. And Loza, who's
first time on the show, I think, Steve.
Yeah. Has he been on the show before?
No, I don't think we have. I think this is their first, their debut show.
Sydenham Park's debut, but Goran's been on, I think, on the past as a AltonaCity coach or what you're not. So looking forward to renewing acquaintances with Goran. But State League One, something we haven't really had a chance to delve into too much. And speaking of a good start to the season and teams that are looking really, really good, and I don't know if they're title favourites, but they're certainly up there amongst them, is our third guest tonight.
Yeah, our third guest is newly head coach of Geelong Soccer Club, Ted. No, I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I? Latomanski. Yeah. And he's going to come on. So it's almost like a Macedonian show tonight with Goran coming on and his good friend Ted from Geelong Soccer Club, and they've had a fantastic win today and a good start to the season, beating Ballarat City away this afternoon 2-1. So they've continued their good start to the season. Looking forward to speaking to Ted.
Yeah. Now, this is around about the time when Craig, me and you, we just switch off and we let Steve take over. It's going to be the news desk after this little break, and Steve has got a lot of news lined up, folks. Don't go away. You're listening to and watching the Football Out West show here. It's episode 106.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
All right, well, let's launch into the news for Sunday, the 26th of March, 2023, and it is the international window, so we might have to just touch on the Socceroos who beat Ecuador 3-1 on Friday night. Jackson Irvine just continuing his good form with St. Pauli, scoring on 12 minutes. Felix Torres pulling one back for Ecuador, but then goals, a thunderous goal from Awar Mabil and a first Socceroos goal for Garan Qual on 84 minutes. Sealing the result. But also in international football news, a couple of NPL Victoria players in the AFCON qualifiers. Majak Mawith of Dandenong Thunder, Ajak Riak of South Melbourne, and Jackson Morgan of the Bentley Greens, all helping South Sudan to a 2-1 win over Congo on Friday. And they're going to be playing Congo again the second time on, that'll be Tuesday at 12 a.m. or Monday night our time. So congrats to those guys, and it's good to see players at NPL Victoria level representing national competition, and it's very exciting. But guys, your thoughts on, did anyone get to catch the Socceroos? I was over at Summers Street on Friday night and missed the whole thing. Has anyone seen any of the action? And if so, or if not, perhaps maybe we'll see you on Tuesday night at Docklands. That's for the second match.
Craig? No, unfortunately not for me. I had other plans on Friday night or Thursday night, whenever it was. I can't remember. But no, I haven't seen it. Haven't seen any replays or anything of it. So I'm led to believe they did well, and certainly I think off the back of the World Cup showing, obviously Graham Arnold signing his new contract as well, which, by the way, I think is a fantastic appointment. He really did galvanise the group, didn't he, through that World Cup? And it seems as if they've started well again, even though it was a friendly.
Yeah, look, I tuned into a little bit of it. Like I was up in Bendigo, and we just sort of settling down and watching it. It's kind of in the background. I think my little boy was watching it more than I was able to, as we were unpacking and getting settled. Well, aren't we bad for a football show that we didn't really watch? Oh, actually, this whole weekend, apart from junior football, didn't really take much in. Look, I watched a little bit that I could. They were quite impressive, the Socceroos, I think, after a bit of a poor start. But what really, really surprised me was the crowd. I don't know, the crowd just I would have thought, first game back after the World Cup, it was a homecoming. And it was up in Sydney, which is kind of that spiritual home of the Socceroos. They always seem to get better crowds up there. I don't know what the actual official crowd figures were, but they weren't. It definitely wasn't a sellout, put it that way.
Yeah, look, I think it's been a talking point recently, hasn't it, about the crowd in the football. Certainly in the A-League is diminishing rather rapidly, and it's sad to see that was the case up in Sydney. But
less than 20,000 attended the match, so that's a little bit south of what I would have expected after the heroics from the World Cup, given that this was the welcome home celebration match to mark the great occasion that we had just in December, not long ago.
So, I love Tony Hudson's comment there. I'm sure Melbourne will make up for the abysmal Sydney crowd. I'm not sure, Tony. I hope so. But yeah, it was really disappointing. What do you put it down to, Craig? Like both the Socceroos crowd, which is pretty poor, and also the A-League crowds that have been just diminishing gradually, have been pretty poor. I don't know.
Look, I've had my say on this before, so I won't go into it too much. And the A-League for me is, I just can't. I can't get it, guys. I can't watch it. I don't watch it. Obviously, I do a lot of the commentary and see a lot of games that Steve does for the MPL, and I just feel that the MPL is a better viewing than what we currently get in the A-League. And it's sad to say that, and we shouldn't really be saying it, but there's something that needs to be done at a higher level to get bums on seats, so to speak, because we shouldn't be having these conversations that there's 20,000 and there's, what was it at the Melbourne victory game the other week? Was it 4,000? 5,000 of a Melbourne victory game with supporters of 25,000 members. Something seriously wrong with it, and we could have I'm sure we could have a whole debate on that, but
absolutely,
maybe that's not for tonight.
Yeah, look, and I think if we just touch on this as well, I think a lot of us almost forgot that the game was on Friday night because the publicity wasn't there for such a big occasion. And, is there going to be much hype over the next couple of days before the game in Melbourne on Tuesday night? I'm not sure, but yeah, we need to be breaking through to the mainstream and getting a bit more coverage when, when the World Cup heroics were occurring, like that was front page news, leading news story on TV all over the place. And then as soon as the World Cup's over, it's like the media doesn't really care again. So that's what we're here for, just to provide you with a bit of Socceroos content in case you feel like you're missing.
But I think it's more than that, Stephen. It's because it's almost like with me, with my work, if I don't call on my customers, they forget me very, very quickly. And that's what seems to be happening with the football. It's you can't be in faces of people for 1 minute and then totally. I looked at and I don't read the papers, guys, so you can probably tell that from how I talk. But I looked at the Herald Sun last week and there wasn't one bit of football in there on the 5 pages at the back. Now, there's something drastically wrong with it. And if we go one step ahead, guys, in just a couple of months, we've got the biggest stage of women's football right here on our doorstep. What are we hearing in the mainstream? What are we seeing in the papers? What adverts are we seeing on TV? Yeah. And it's a real shame because this really could be the turning point of football in Australia. But I just think that it'll be a damp squib. It'll come, everybody forget about it, and we move on, and nothing will change.
I think what's happened, guys, if I can just butt in, I think they've disconnected from the fans. Like, this is the A-League we're talking about now. They've done everything in their power to put it off, The active, fans have been treated really poorly, throughout the league for the bunch of a small group of, let's call them victory supporters that have, hijacked the game. But now they're tarnishing everyone with the same brush. And this is what happened 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago with the old NSL. Everyone was branded ethnic hooligans, even though it might have been 1% of people that were causing the trouble. And this is what's happening here. Now they're going as hard as they can almost to put people off. And people are saying, I don't want a bar of it. No, we've seen some great crowds in the MPL this year. All right, maybe not, thousands and thousands, but there's been a good couple of clubs that have had some really, really good clubs. It seems to me these clubs at grassroots level are connecting with their members, their fans, their supporters a lot better than and in this day and age when we have got social media, it's easier to connect with people. But having said that, it's also harder because there's so much information. But Craig, we've gone out and created, the football that is, has gone out and created its own kind of like news information service. And what do? We call it Keep Up or Keep It or whatever it's called. That's supposed to promote A-League football. I mean, what sort of a name is that, firstly? And secondly, like, where do you see that? Like, it's almost like you have to really go hunting to find any kind of information. And I don't know, it just bamboozles me. And look, if the A-League is not healthy, naturally, our Socceroos, our Matildas are not going to be very healthy as far as publicity, as far as promotion, as far as crowds, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, I share the same fear you have, Craig, about our Women's World Cup.
Yeah. Steve, you were going to say something?
Yeah, we'll need to move on shortly because I think we've got Adam
Yeah.
ready to go. But Tony Hudson's comment again hits the nail on the head as well for me. The decision to steal the grand final for Sydney has put many off the A-League, and rightly so. I think if you're going to upset the integrity of the competition for some sort of commercial gain, and you're going to lie about it and not explain it properly, fans are going to feel cheated and they're not going to turn up, and that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? So that's just another howler, along with the broadcast on Paramount Plus, where you still, if you get home half an hour late and you want to watch the game on delay instead of watching it live, you can't. And if you want to watch the highlights when you get home or the mini match, you've got to wait for it to be posted up. It's just like all of these dysfunctional things that just don't work, and it adds up to the sum of all of those things just adds up to disappointment for fans. And you can see people are cheesed off and they don't want to put their money where their mouth is. Cost of living's going up. There's so much expenses these days, and there's better ways to spend your time than going along somewhere where you don't feel appreciated.
And I think just touching off, you spoke about it last week, and you did have Mark Sultana on talking about the B League or second division or whatever it's going to call. There's some fears for me, and as much as I'd like to see it, there's some fears for that as well, because as you just said there, Steve, everything's going up, mate. Nothing's cheap anymore. And people that are struggling and are not being able to go to games. And I think see a couple of comments there in the make it easy for families to go and watch football. And I have my fears, but hey, look, it's well above our pay grade, guys. So but something certainly needs to be done.
Geez, we've got some really good comments, and keep them coming. Some really good comments in the feed. Alex Sivkorowski, I'm going to go back to that. This is a really good comment, I think. The overzealous policing doesn't help either. Went to the Western United victory game. One person was escorted out with 7 police officers and 5 security guards. The man was not being a hooligan either. Yeah, over the weekend, I think we had an AFL punch-up or something like that. And the police come out and say the crowd was well behaved. The big brawl, I think there was 1 arrest or something like that, and the crowd was well behaved. But that exact same scenario in the A League, my God, it's the end of the world.
Front page of the Herald Sun, isn't it? Front page news on the Herald Sun and lead story on Channel 9 that night. It's just the double standards. We shouldn't get wound up by it, but I constantly do.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, let's keep moving because we have got our
we'll just touch on one more thing quickly, and something that came out today. The news is from the 1st of July, the new IFAB ruling on goalkeepers facing a penalty kick. Goalkeepers can no longer touch the goalpost or nets while they're waiting for the kick to be taken. They can't delay the execution of the penalty. They can't unfairly distract the taker. I'm not sure what that is deemed as what is unfair and not.
What can they do? Honestly.
And they can't show behaviours that fail to show respect. But there still seems to be a double standard where the taker can stutter and stop and start and tie his shoelaces mid run up, but the keepers just don't seem to have any kind of liberties anymore. When this has
come off the back. We talk about the World Cup. This has come off the back of Emiliano
Martinez
theatrics at the World Cup. Which, look, do I think there's anything wrong with it? Absolutely not. It's gamesmanship, and you do everything you can to try and put your opponents off, your teammates off, whatever that might look like. But this is just a hideous decision from bunch of bureaucrats who sit in an office in Zurich and think there's nothing better there's more. Let's worry about getting VAR right. No, let's not. Let's worry about whether a goalkeeper can touch the goalpost and nets during a penalty or not.
But I like the idea of
it sounds so vague as well. It's not not clear cut what they're saying. Like, I think if they want to implement these rules, like maybe the keeper can't be touching the post and the nets, maybe to put them off. Maybe that's fair enough. But some of the other things, unfairly distract the taker. That is, how can you officiate that? What does that mean?
How's that? Well, how are you going to get what you're going to get? How are you going to get discipline for that? What does it mean? You can't do a Bruce Grobbelaar and shake your knees anymore, or you can't jump up and down and. It's bonkers. The world's gone mad. I might just tune out myself now and go and watch something else. I'm getting irate just listening to the news. We got any good stuff on?
Well, we've got one.
We need some good news to come for the rest of the show, I think, guys. Just
Hey?
to put a smile back on our face, perhaps.
Well, hang on. Dale Harris comes to the rescue. Dale Harris is the coach of Bowen Soccer Club in State League 4. He's got a positive comment. This is aimed at you, Steve, I think. The best-looking journalist around, and Craig Filer.
Yeah. Well, Dale,
I think he's talking
clarify?
about you. He's definitely not talking about me.
We'll need Dale to clarify. He may well mean you yourself, Tonch.
Yeah.
On that note, gents, I think we're going to sort of finish it up very, very quickly. We're going to take a short break. When we return, it's time to talk serious business, and we're going to turn our attention to the NPL First Division, the NPL football, and we'll be talking to Adam Piddick, the coach of the Port Melbourne Sharks. Should be a great interview coming up. Don't go away, folks. It's the Football Out West Show, and it's episode 106.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit, Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West Show.
Welcome back to the Football Out West Show. And Craig, you're going to do the introductions for our next guest. He forgot to switch his phone on again. His microphone.
There you go. Sorry,
There we
gents. I
go.
just switched it off while I was typing away.
It's been a while. It's rusty.
It's been a while, yeah.
No, we
absolutely.
appreciate that you switch it off when you're typing away. That's good.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's a pleasure to get our next guest on. It's been a while since we've spoken to him. A lot's gone on since then, and it's a pleasure to welcome Adam Piddick to the show. Good evening.
Evening, guys. How we going?
Very well, Adam. How's yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Better Sunday night for me this week, so looking forward to the chat.
Very good.
Very good. Adam, we'll jump straight into it then. 6-2 winners down at George Andrews, a venue that's known for chaos, and this was one of the highest scoring games I've seen for a while, 8 goals in total. Some of the results hadn't gone the way that you would have hoped in the last couple of weeks. What was the message to the guys leading into this game?
Yeah, obviously it's a very hard place to go to get a result, and if you do get a result, normally it's your back's against the wall. So to get the result the way that we did last night, was very pleasing, and it's just reward for the boys' efforts. The message during the week was, we really stripped it back, to be honest. And we went, what are our defining principles, and what does that look like, and and getting back to the nitty gritty and the basics, to be honest, and doing what we do well. And it's probably cliche, but to be honest, that's what it was.
And that's a really interesting point that you say there. And as a coach myself, how important is it sometimes to go back to basics with players? Because we always put emphasis on different scenarios based on different teams, and but the structure of it always stays the same, or the principles stay the same. How important is it sometimes to just go back to the basics of this is what we do in and out of the ball, guys?
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was, what are our principles? What do we want to look like as a team? And then what are the basic fundamentals of those principles, pretty much? And it's just to get those right individually. And if you get those right individually, as a team, it all works out. So, it's so important. Sometimes, you try to think too much as a coach, or as footballers, or as a coaching group, and you just go, well, strip it all the way back. What do we want the game to look like for us on a personal term and as a team, you know, if we would go individually, what does that look like? And yeah, Saturday night is what it looks like.
Now, Saturday night, as Steve constantly says, George Andrews Reserve is a place where magic happens down at Dandenong Thunder. Last night, it truly happened. 6-2 scoreline. Cessnick getting 4 goals and Courtney Perkins 2. Now, 2 of the goals came in the first half and then conceded a goal right on stoppage time. So it's 2-1. You know, obviously that's a delicate time to score a goal or concede a goal, I should say. At halftime, what was your message out to the boys? Because they came out firing in the second half and 4 second half goals to cause it. Well, what a goal bonanza that was. But at halftime, what did you was it get back to basics again, or was it something else that you kind of said to get them motivated?
No, it wasn't anything special. It was just about giving them the confidence, you know, of the first half. And like, yeah, we were up 2-0, but we weren't tremendous, if you know what I mean. We played well in some good areas, and then we let them back in the game in how we defended it. And to be honest, the last 3 or 4 weeks we've defended quite poorly in terms of individual errors and team defending. So we went back and fixed a little bit of them. Like, you know, we went into how they trying to score goals and how we have to stop that. But in saying that, we, you know, everything that we need to do is we know if we play at our best, you know, we're hard to stop. So the majority of the messages was about us and just trying to, you know, get to the finer detail of how we want to play and what does that look like again. So yeah, the message at half time were, you know, the same as at the start. I was just trying to get the boys confident. And yeah, it's always hard conceding a goal just before half time because it's a shift of momentum. Yeah, and especially at Dandenong where you think, okay, we're going to come out of that halftime break and it's just going to be on from the get-go and we're going to have to, you know, stick in there. And we had to stick in there for the first 5 minutes and then for 8 minutes, I think it was the Valley Cessnick show. So, you know, it's always good, you know, when individual players stand up and you know, make it easy for you.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Valley hadn't scored this season. He'd been instrumental in your team, though, in that sort of front three. And then he comes out and scores 4 in one match, including, I think he scored 3 goals between the 54th and 59th minute there, just in the second half, just after the halftime break. What sort of mood was he in after the game? He must have been smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, he was flying. I'm pleased for him because, you know, that was like the same thing that we said, you know, yeah, he hasn't scored a goal, hadn't had an assist all year. And like as an attacking player, when you're 5 games in and you're not doing so well, that, you know, that plays on your mind again. But again, the message to him was, you know, keep doing the right things. You know, if you do the right things consistently, whether it's this game, round 7, round 11, you know, it's going to change for you. And you know, hopefully now that's given him, or should give him an abundance of confidence now, not just him, but the team to, you know, to really step on from this.
Yeah, and I think what you said just now about, you know, coaches and team managers, you know, overthink things, and players are very much in that mindset as well. They overthink things when things are not going quite their way. But when you strip it back to, this is what we want you to do, keep doing what you do, the results come for you. Now, one of the players who doesn't have that effect is a player that we've spoken about previously, and I've got a lot of respect for this lad because he is a fantastic player in Luca Tavia, who's really doing well for you again this year. I think he scored 3 goals. He certainly got 2 assists last night, one of them early on in the game. But how's his form for you over and above, obviously, the stats that I've just given you?
Yeah, well, Luca had a very tough start to the year because he broke his collarbone.
Yep.
So he really didn't have a preseason. You know, so he's come back in, and yeah, he hasn't probably been as sharp as he would have liked in the first 4 games. But in terms of stat output, in terms of goal involvements and you know, yeah, goal involvement, which includes assists and scoring goals. You know, he's at, you know, been at a decent level. But a big part of Luca's game is his capacity to press and continue to press and repeat that action, and that's a big part of our game. If our pressing is on, you know we're on, because that stems a lot from what we do. But yeah, mate, Luca is, he's a high quality player at this level, and in my opinion should be playing at a high level, or at least given the opportunity to. But that football's about opinions, and but yeah, no. I'm happy for us, and and for me and Port Melbourne as a club, that we've got a player of his capability.
Just one more from me, if you don't mind, gents. George Andrews last night. The crowd is normally very vocal down there. How many people did you have start your cars after the game so you could get away? Because it's a tough place to play against. It's a tough place. They're very vocal. They're very in your face. And how was it last night? How were the locals?
Yeah, well, that's always a key message that we say to the boys. We want to try to get the crowd out of it, because they are vocal. And last night it wasn't as big as what it normally was, or is, but they were still quite vocal. So it's about changing that, and we know that if we because we know that they're going to give us stick, and if you play back to it, that gets the crowd going again, and that that motivates the team a bit more. So it's about trying to make them quiet, to be honest, and that's get an early goal and just play. Don't worry about it. Don't whinge at the referee. Just keep playing. Get them on their backs. So mate, I love playing down there because they always hang on that side next to the dugout, and they always give you a bit of stick, and but they're all
at the back of their utes, aren't they? Play.
Yeah. No, but it's all it's all fun and games, because I think we've got a little bit of a mutual respect as well, because you got to be able to cop a little bit of that. That's part of the fun, isn't it?
It's part of the game.
And
Absolutely.
if you can't handle that, well, you're playing the wrong game.
It's good to get that authentic football experience. Adam, I wanted to ask about the squad this year. You've retained a lot of players, but you've added some really good depth to the squad with the likes of Dorjok coming in, Mo Adam, Coyote Godoy, and Jalil Regaig as well. Was that one of the focuses this season, that perhaps last year the squad maybe didn't run deep enough when it come to the packed schedule of cup games and then the final series? Was that an idea? And out of those new signings as well, some of them really impressive. Jalil Regaig's been excellent from what I've seen so far as well.
Yeah, well, when we had a meeting at the end of last year, we wanted to really make our attacking depth a bit more deeper, because at the end of the day, you can probably say that last year, because of the intense style of play that we play, it's always hard for those front three to keep pressing and keep going to 90 minutes. And that's probably one of our things that probably, didn't make us go through to the grand finals. We didn't have, enough quality coming off the bench, when we needed it. So we decided to do that. And to be honest, we wanted to look for that all the time. But, Mo Adams and Dor, they come in really late. In the transfer window, and in pre-season, so they're just trying to get up to speed, with that, and that's probably a big part of, we could have quite easily, played them, started them a lot more, but it's about, getting back to the principles, and who knows that best at this time, and that was about, the assistant coaches, Andy and Bebs and Piot, saying, well, we could have changed a lot this week. We had it, should we do this? Should we do that? But, those boys behind me gave me the confidence, just go with your gut. And the gut saying that, okay, they're probably not 100% aligned in terms of how we want to play in principles, not due to lack of trying, it's due to lack of, not being in that environment for long periods, and in pre-season where you can have safe to fail experiments in games. At the moment we can't do that, but those boys are coming along really well, and you can see when they come on, they're lively. Lively, and they're working hard, and they're probably going to be the same Valley and Jacko have been. Valley and Jacko, they're working hard, and on Saturday night. There was 6 goals between them. So that right hand side was electric, and it's going to be the same to those boys. When it hits the straps, it's going to hit the straps, and look out.
Well, we're speaking with Adam Piddick, the coach of the Port Melbourne Sharks. And Adam, mate, it's unbelievable. It's almost 1/4 of the way through the NPL season. 6 rounds have been played. We'll have a quick look now at the some of the scores, or all of the scores in round 6. Melbourne Knights on Friday night defeated Altona Magic 3-1. Now, quickly, Steve, you were at that game. You called that game. How did you see that game?
Yeah, the Knights came out of the blocks pretty well with that early goal by Albano, and that sort of set the game state for a little while. But Altona really got back into it and were unlucky not to have maybe pegged back that lead before half-time. They were unable to do so, and then they sort of sacrificed a couple of players, took off Tommy Semi, and then Kieran Bramwell pounced to get his first in his new colours with the Knights, and Mo Sumayoro coming on off the bench and scoring again, and then Jonas Markowski getting his customary goal. That's his 5th of the season and his 4th in 4 games from the spot kick, which he had to retake as well, so hats off to him for staying composed in that. And that was the full-time score at Knight Stadium, 3-1 to the hosts. They're going along nicely with 3 wins in a row.
Heidelberg United defeated Bentley Greens 3-1. The battle of the 2 promoted sides, Moreland City defeating North Geelong Warriors 4-1 at CB Smith Reserve on Saturday afternoon. The Warriors' 5th consecutive loss after a win on opening in the opening round against Bentley Greens. Avondale 3-2 over Green Gully. As we mentioned, Port Melbourne Sharks defeating Dandenong Thunder last night 6-2. Oakley Cannons defeating Hume City 2-1. And then earlier this afternoon at Churchill Reserve, South Melbourne defeating St Albans 1-0. We have a look at the ladder there after 6 rounds. Avondale sitting pretty on top. South Melbourne very, very close behind, and Oakley Cannons a further point behind. Then the Melbourne Knights, they've had a great start to the season. They're in 4th position with 11 points. Then Green Gully and Adam, your side, Port Melbourne Sharks, make up the top 6. Then we've got Moreland City, St Albans Saints, Dandenong Thunder, Heidelberg United, Hume City, Altona Magic, and then the 2 teams in the relegation zone, North Geelong and, surprise, surprise, Bentley Greens. Now, let's talk about Bentley Greens. Does that surprise you? I mean, bottom of the ladder, 6 games, 6 losses. Are they really as bad as the ladder suggests? Are they relegation material?
Oh, who wants to take that
There's a question.
No one wants to jump on that. Look, there's been a lot of upheaval at Kingston Heath over the off-season time.
Yeah,
so
they've had some changes, haven't they, over the last 18 months or so?
I think it's been unsettling, and that's by virtue the results have not gone their way at all this season. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll get it right.
Yeah, well, obviously, Bentley, in the past 10 years, they're traditionally, they're a big club in the NPL. I think it just goes to show that you can never take things lightly. Yeah, so each year's a new year, and even though it's only early, if you get things wrong early on in terms of recruitment or terms of your structure at your club, it can affect you, and it can affect you, long term. So. They're in a bit of a hard place at the minute, but the good thing about football, there's always next week and there's always another game, and you're one game away to getting confidence. And one thing's for sure, I know Bentley, will keep working and keep trying to, to bridge that gap. And to be honest, and like they've had some dreadful injuries as well, which hasn't helped. And they're probably a little bit like us, where if you keep playing with 10 men, you're not going to get results. You know what I mean? So it's about that little bit of discipline as well. And, going back to, what they're, I suppose, what we did. If they go back to their principles, go back and, strip it all back and what makes them Bentley, and, how do they want to play this season and moving forward. And if they can identify that, they're going to have that step forward.
Now, before you go, because we're going to have to move on very shortly, Steve read out in the news earlier on the new goalkeeping rules that have come into play today. I can see there from your faces. Have you any thoughts on the new rules?
No, it's ridiculous. isn't it? Making it harder all the time.
Where are we going with it?
Yeah.
Where are we going with football, Adam? You know, it's. I'm looking at it now, and it just amazes me that it's even up.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to you before, and you're saying, you know, it's hard to watch the A-League at times because, you know, it's so negative, and it's so everyone just doesn't want to lose games instead of, you know, teams want to go out and win games. You know what I mean? So I think it's about the product, and again, you know, watching an NPL game, you know, it's even though the quality is in terms of individuals not there, but the excitement and the products, you know, in my opinion anyway, you know, it's much more enjoyable to watch, even though there's more mistakes and that, but it's because teams want to go at each other and, you know,
that's what football is, isn't it? That's what
win.
football is, making mistakes, enjoying it, having an atmosphere. You know, you get 8 goals at George Andrews Reserve. That's what football should be, not a 0-0 draw with both teams playing in exactly the same way. You know, it's football. So we're gonna, another rant. I'm not going to. I'm having another week off.
You're going to go home depressed tonight, Craig.
As long as the Arsenal keep winning, that's the main thing. So,
here we go. It's the last time you're coming on as well.
On that note, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have to move along, but it is always a pleasure having you on the show. A friend of the show who's been on several episodes in the past. So we thank you once again for your accessibility on a Sunday night. And as you said, it's a pleasant one for you. And let's hope it continues. But just quickly, you guys are involved in the big Greek derby, Heidelberg United hosting Port Melbourne Sharks this Friday night, 8:30 p.m. at Olympic Village. Should be an absolute beauty. Heidelberg are on the way back. They've scored a couple of wins in the last few games, so they're not going to be easy beats, that's for sure. But you guys also have done quite well, obviously, with the score on the weekend. So all the best, mate, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, Adam.
Thanks Adam. Mate. All the best.
All right, well, guys, we're going to take a very, very quick break. Great always having Adam on the show. When we return, another friend of the show, Goran Lozanovski, who this time is the coach of Sydenham Park in State League 1. We will have the pleasure of his company. He'll be back shortly after this break, guys. It's episode 106 of the Football Out West Show.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
All right, and welcome back to the Football Out West Show. It's time, guys, for our second guest of the evening, and we're going to go to State League 1. We're going to be going out to Melbourne's Northwest, where we have got, here he is on the screen, the head coach of Sydenham Park FC. He's got 2 wins from 2, so he's smiling like a Cheshire cat. Good evening, and how you doing, Goran Lozanovski?
Steve, Tonchi, Craig, how are we?
Good evening. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks.
Well.
Great to have you on board, Goran. You've been a friend of the show in the past, and in your capacity now, Sydenham Park coach. As Steve said, 2 wins from 2 games. Let's talk about the weekend. 4-2 win over AltonaCity. They're at Keilor Lodge Reserve. Take us through the first 2 games of the season in State League 1 and how the boys are shaping up for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, look, it's been an interesting start to our season. Pre-season's been quite poor in the fact of results and scoring goals, I suppose, if you're a Sydenham fan. And so last week was a good start to the season. Scoring 4 goals in the first half was very exciting for us, and obviously finished 4-1 and scoring another 4 goals in the weekend, which made it even more dramatic for us. So sitting at scoring 8 goals and conceding 3 is a very good start for us as a football club, and looking forward to the next game, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And the squad is looking really strong. I think, in my opinion, Goran, this season, some good recruits have come in. You've picked up Jay Hart from George Cross. You've got Dan Sweeney from Brimbank, just to name a couple. How was the recruitment process in the off season?
Yeah, it was good.
Busy
It was
is
good.
the answer you want.
Yeah, no, it was busy. Obviously, you named a few. Yeah, Jay Hart's been a great inclusion for us. I'm very fortunate to get quality of Jay's football ability, so to get him across, and fortunate for us, unlucky for George Cross, but that's football. People move on. Players like Ethan Gage, obviously, quality DM, and has been around the game for a while, and so very experienced and very good for us. He's probably been one of our best two players in the last two games. And another goal scorer, Chris Davies, who used to be at the club, and obviously was at Preston for a while, and now he's back at the club and scored on the weekend, got his first goal, which is exciting for himself and exciting for the football club. And we haven't signed a player like, I don't know if you guys remember him, ex-Newcastle Jets victory player, Dylan Manane. So he's on board as well.
Yeah, good pickup.
We're quite fortunate to have some good quality footballers at our football club.
Yeah, and you've also, just looking at the team sheet for yesterday, George Sakalakis has joined you as well from, club captain at George Cross for many, many years. And I'm sure the boys at George, I'm sure Mark will put up a comment shortly, but that's another big coup for you getting him over. So the squad looks, fantastically good in depth now as you're planning for, obviously, MPL, which is obviously the club's goal. Obviously, there's a lot of work. Tell us a little bit about the work that's going on at the club behind the scenes as well.
Look, obviously the club's doing a lot of hard work. The last couple of years, they've been trying to get some funds up and running through the council and government grants, and obviously they've got the third pitch up and running now, which I think just the turf needs to get laid hopefully next coming weeks. So we'll have 3 pitches rocking and rolling at the football club, which is exciting for the football club. So, obviously our journey is this year to try and get promoted. So no guarantees, but we all know that in football that, everyone builds a squad to try and win a league. And, we've done that at the moment, but, still got to win 22 games.
Yeah, let's have a look at the after two rounds of the State League 1 season. Sydenham Park, the only team at the moment that has a 100% record with 6 points at the top. Brimbank Stallions, Westgate, Whittlesea Rangers all on 4 points. And then we've got AltonaCity and FC Strathmore on 3 points. Football Victoria haven't updated the ladder as far as the Upfield and Yarraville game I played on the weekend.
Nil-nil
Do you know
that
what
one.
That was
nil-nil.
Okay. So there you go. So Upfield have got 2 points. So already after two rounds, Sydenham Park have managed to get away from the rest of the pack. But Goran, who do you think, in your opinion, is probably the team or teams that you need to look out for, the ones that are going to most give you grief this year?
Tell you what, there's one game I'm definitely going to go and watch, and that's the Westgate game.
The Westgate game, yeah. Look, I think every club's going to be difficult, no matter what their squads look like. I mean, AltonaCity game on the weekend wasn't as easy, probably what the scoreline showed. They're still a quite well organised team, and they were quite difficult. And obviously we're quite ruthless in good scenarios. So you still got teams like AltonaCity, which I still think will push. You got Brimbank as well. Brimbank's always going to be up there with Andrew Marth coaching him, and there's no doubt about it, they'll make it difficult. And we'll have some tough games going away to clubs like Whittlesea United and Strathmore away games and Karaya. All these games are going to be difficult. So I think every club is going to be quite challenging for us, no matter we're playing them at home or away. But like I said to the lads on the weekend, if we make home a fortress, then away we can always afford to drop some points if we need to. But look, it's going to be difficult with every club we play. At the moment, everyone wants to beat Sydenham Park, so I get, we sort of get that feeling at the moment. So we're quite comfortable with that scenario, and we'll take each game as it comes.
And speaking of making your home ground at Keilor Lodge Reserve a bit of a fortress, you've got Keilor Park coming across, your near neighbours, this Saturday, April Fool's Day. No banana skids there. I'm hoping the boys will be thinking another 3 points, but Keilor, I'm sure, will bring out a bit of intensity. Do you know much about what to expect from them?
Yeah, I mean, look, I watched them last week against Westgate for half a game, and they really surprised me. I thought, you always hear rumours and stories about other football clubs, but look, I thought they were well organised and played well, and had their moments to score goals against Westgate, and on the weekend they drew again. But look, like I said, each game is going to be a battle for us, but we're really looking forward to it. Obviously, the fixture's been reversed, so we're playing at home this coming week. So
is that because of their ground laws, or?
Yeah. So as far as we know, I think their ground's not ready at the moment. So we've actually reversed that fixture, which we're looking forward to it. So and another home game for us, which is crucial for us to get ourselves put ourselves in a good position. So we've got I think a bye after that, and then another home game as well. So we're actually in a good position to put ourselves in a better position in the coming weeks.
And Goran, what's the production line of young talent like at the club out at Sydenham Park at the moment? Is it somewhere that, if the club is pushing into NPL 3 next season, perhaps touch wood, not getting ahead of ourselves in any way, but if that is to be the case, do we think we've got some good young talent coming through ready to step up and get opportunities this year and next at an even higher level maybe?
Most definitely. I think there's a couple of young gentlemen coaching our reserves at the moment who have done a tremendous job in the last couple of seasons, and I think they've found some good young crop talent. Some of them are ex-NPL players, and some are local boys, and they've all got potential. But what I like at the moment, what I'm seeing is some good characters in there and some good footballers in that under 20 reserve side. So, look, I think as a team or the club evolves, and if they go up the channels and move into NPL system, I suppose your crop improves in the following years. But look, there's no doubt about it. Currently, the club's got a good base to start from. So I'm pretty sure our reserve side's going to be quite successful this year as well. So, which is a good thing, and we obviously look forward to what happens in the coming years.
Okay, looking ahead to this weekend's round 3 of the State League 1 competition, there are 3 Friday night games, and it kicks off at Epping Stadium with Whittlesea Rangers hosting Yarraville, Upfield taking on Altona City, and then FC Strathmore hosting the high-flying Brimbank Stallions. And as the big Keilor derby, you guys are at home to Keilor Park at Keilor Lodge Reserve, 3 p.m. this Saturday. Banyule City taking on Whittlesea United, and then it all concludes down the Princess Freeway at Hume Reserve in Corio when Corio hosts Westgate at home, their first home game of the season. That kickoff is at 5 p.m. Goran, we wish you all the best for the rest of the season. It's great having you on board, and I'm sure we will have Sydenham Park featured quite regularly on the show this year, courtesy of Nick, who's one of our major sponsors and the president there at the club. So we really thank him and thank everyone at Sydenham Park for supporting this show. And as I said, all the very best for the year ahead, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it, and keep doing the good job you guys are doing. Fantastic.
Good lad. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Goran. Have a great season.
Goran Lozanovski. Well, from one Macedonian club, Sydenham Park in State League 1, we're going to go back to the NPL 3 competition after this break, and we'll be talking to Ted Latomanski, who's the head coach of the Geelong Soccer Club. They've started really, really well in Division 2, and the way North Geelong are going at the moment in NPL, and Geelong are going, could have that return of the Geelong derby next year in NPL 2. But we'll talk all things NPL 3, gents, after this break, when we are joined by Ted Latomanski from the Geelong Soccer Club. Folks, don't go away.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT, and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
All right, welcome back to the Football Out West show. Thanks again to our sponsors, Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp. Thanks, Nick. And Tonchi, you just mentioned that we got a good comment come through from Alex Sivkorowski that the Upfield Altona match from the State League this weekend will be broadcast on the Upfield Facebook page. And look, I fancy that Alex might be commentating that match too. So
Good chance.
Something to tune in for there, guys, if you've got a bit of spare time whenever that match kicks off on the weekend. Now we'll get to our next
Friday
guest
night
though
at
now,
8:30.
which... There you go. Thank you. As mentioned, sorry. Thank you. Now, winning coach from this afternoon. He's straight back from a trip to Ballarat. It's Ted Latomanski. We get him up on the screen. There he is. He's back. He's had a win at Moreshead Park for Geelong. 2 wins from 2. Ted, how you going?
Good, Steve. How you going? Craig, Tonchi. It's great to finally see Tonchi face to face this time.
Yeah, I think we did an article for the Geelong Advertiser a couple of weeks ago, whatever. We hadn't spoken I thought it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and the last time Ted coached at Geelong. But Ted, you were coaching, your first stint at Geelong was something like 2014, almost 10 years ago. Mate,
Almost 10 years.
wow, how time flies. What's it like being back at Stead Park? And it's been a brilliant start to the season, but how have the first few weeks, months at Stead Park been for you, homecoming of sorts?
Oh, look, I think it's been fantastic. I mean, I was at the club as a player. I went back and coached in 2014 and being back as a coach again, I mean, not much has changed in regards to the personnel there and the people. And it's just a very family-orientated club, very hospitable, really, really driven people there. So it's really good environment.
And since you were last there, you've spent some time most recently at Green Gully, before that Northcote City. How have you developed your coaching scene? Are you a different style of coach, or are you still more or less the same operator as when you were last at Stead Park?
No, I think as coaches you have to adapt and you have to sort of change with the times. I think, I mean, it's interesting you had Goran on before. I was Goran's assistant at Northcote in 2013-14. You learn from great players, great coaches like that. But you definitely need to adapt and move with the times, because the generations are different, as we all know, and kids are, in a different space today versus 20, 30 years ago. So definitely you try and tweak it and change.
Yeah, now obviously you've come into the club there and had to change a few things on the player front. Ted, you brought a lot of young players into the football club. How was your off season in terms of bringing players to the club? How did you sell the club to players to come down to Geelong? Because as we all know, it is very hard to get players to Geelong. How did you sell that to them, and how have they adapted to the new premises?
I think, Craig, there's a lot of footballers out there who are on the brink of senior football in the NPL environment. Getting opportunities here and there. And then this was a tact where I was really, sort of going at, where, we signed Damien Grimsditch from Avondale, a squad player, had a few minutes, signed goalkeeper from Green Gully in the reserves, Thomas Yoshifowski, absolute quality keeper. Jai Spiteri from Burundara, he had a stellar season last year. So, we brought in some visa players of quality. We lost a few players, a few players moved on. But overall, we really wanted to create a change room that was solid, a change room that was, in harmony. And I think we've done that. And me, in my opinion, as a coach, I think that's half the battle. Getting good footballers in, good people. And I think we're there. We just got to stay on top of things in regards to that.
Well, we know it's a tough league, and we'll just, before we go through, ask some more questions, we'll just go through some of the results just to show how tough this league is. And I was fortunate to be at George Cross on Friday evening. George Cross losing their first game of the season, the second game at home, but they lost their first one to Burundara Care Eagles 2-1. North Sunshine had a 5-2 home win against Box Hill United. Nunna Wadding had a fantastic win, 3-0 win at Essendon Royals, who were winless in their opening 2 games. Doveton continue their losing momentum, losing 2-0 at home to Melbourne Victory. Golden Valley suffered a home loss to that's some trip, isn't it? Beaumaris to Shepparton on a Saturday afternoon. You wouldn't want that one, would you? And then, of course, today your big result up at Ballarat Regional Soccer Facility, where you came away with a fantastic 2-1 win. Talk to us about that result in the game.
I think the last 2 weeks. Excuse my voice, Craig, because this is what I was saying.
You did say to me on the phone this afternoon that
and
I did promise him we'd only be on for 10 minutes.
A lot of screaming, a lot of yelling.
no, Tunch, it's not that. But yeah, it is that, Tunch. I think that the last 2 weeks has really set a standard in regards to the character of the team. I mean, we scored late against Doveton. We scored in the 93rd minute, and the boys did not give up. Today we were down 1-0 at half time. I feel we dominated the game, and second half we went out, we scored 2 goals. So it shows that the boys have got some character. They dig in when it's backs to the wall. So it's been repeat performances of getting stuck in. So as a coach, and you guys pretty much are on the same page there, where if you've got a team that's willing to fight to the end, I mean, anything's possible. Being a younger team, I think it gives them a bit more of that enthusiasm, a bit more spite to go out there and prove and showcase themselves. But the last 2 weeks have been fantastic. But again, it's a long season ahead. There's a lot of work to do, and it's very even competition. And Craig, I was there on Friday night. I watched the Georgies and that Burundara game, and if you don't turn up and if you don't work at that 100% and put in, you're not going to get nothing.
Yeah, and you mentioned you've got a youngish squad there, Ted. Trojkowski scoring the go-ahead goal on 85 minutes. Were you happy with the way the boys closed out the game after that, or was there a couple of nervy moments in stoppage time as you hung on for the 3 points?
No. I thought we were comfortable, and I thought the boys closed out the game quite comfortably. And Trojkowski stepped up, and Anthony's a quality player, quality person. He had no problem. I asked him after the game. I can't look at the penalty takers. I always turn me back. I just got too much nerves.
Fair enough.
Seeing it on replay, Anth slotted it comfortably. But it just shows the resilience of the team. And we were playing Essendon Royals next Saturday night. So that should be a big game. And they're big games every week. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to come down and have a look at that game next Saturday after hours.
That should be good. It's going to be streamed live. I know I'm going to be commentating that. And Craig, are you going to be commentating that with me, are you?
We'll have to wait and see,
we'll
won't
have
we?
to wait and see.
Oh,
well, I'm actually
yes.
I'm actually up in Melbourne. I have to. I'm involved in another junior tournament, and I'm going to have to burn rubber to get back in time. But talking about Anthony Trojkowski, he's the captain this year. Young fella. He's an excitement machine, as is one of your other players, Jesse Devers, an import, who, when I was speaking to Steve Janoski, the football director there at Geelong a few weeks ago doing the season preview, he was telling me this fella is a real excitement machine. Tell us more about some of these players that are really generating a lot of excitement at Stead Park. Anthony, Jesse, amongst others.
Jesse Devers, he came in from Ireland unfit, injured, which we didn't know about, to be honest. So it's taken him some time to really get on the park and get running. So he's nowhere near his full capacity. He's not fit. So there's a lot more to come out of Jesse Devers. He's a number 9, exciting player, sharp, jack in the box. So there's a lot of expectations on just like all the boys. We touched on Anthony. We've got a couple of Japanese boys who are great people, great footballers. We've got, players that are, working hard for each other. And like I said before, Jaden Ilievsky, it's just a really good, honest squad that will work hard. And that's what I expect from any team I've coached, to work hard for each other. But again, it's early days, long way to go. There's like I said before, there's big games every week.
And how's the transition been from going? But we all know how difficult being an under-21s coach is. We've both been in those roles. Ted, how's the what's the word I'm looking for? The transfer into senior coaching. You've done it before. Was it
transition
quite easy for you to
transition?
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Steve. Was it quite easy for you to do it, or?
Yeah, no, it's been fine, Craig. I mean, that under 21s is the senior banner, supposedly, but no, it's been fine. And you know what? If you treat people fairly, respectfully, you should get that back. But yeah, I've had no issues with it, and working with committees, I've done that in the past. Coaching, within the senior group in the past, it's sort of, given me that experience of walking back in where not much has changed. But like I said before, I think the youth today is a lot different to when we were growing up. Yeah, So dealing with that and managing that, I think as people, as parents or coaches, we need to adapt. And, I think I've done that okay. Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, so looking ahead to the season, is the committee, are they talking about they want to get back into NPL 2, or is that sort of something that we're going to just see how we go? Is there a lot of expectation, do you find, being back at the club?
I think there's always expectation of, succeeding and trying to get, the highest we can possibly be on the ladder. There's, talk of, in the next 2-3 years, we'd love to be in an NPL 2 environment. There's no real talk about getting into the NPL 2 next season. And if there was, then we wouldn't be realistic. I think it's a project. I think it's something that the club understands and the club's driving towards, where within the next 2-3 years, we would like to be in that NPL 2 environment. And it's something where me and my coaching team, Arthur Davis, Peter Stojanowski and Rob Teleski, it's something that we want to sort of be there long term to see if we can get the club into that NPL 2 environment. So, yes, we talk about it. And yes, there's no real, targets to, try and get there next year, because we need to be realistic about where we're at.
Question
Craig,
for me there. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
No, you go, mate. I'm throwing to
for
you.
me, and it's just asked Tonchi to put it up there on the screen. Message from Tony Hudson this year. He said, we would like to see more younger players in NPL, NPL Div, and opportunities from 17 to 19-year-old. Now, I know we've had conversations on this many times at games. Ted, how do we get these players playing at the highest level they can?
I think a lot of that also comes down to a bit of patience. And I think we've spoken about this, Craig, in the past, where a lot of the young kids, whether they're 16, 17, there's some talent. They want it now. And I get that too, but, you need to do some sort of an apprenticeship and, get some sort of understanding, get the Monday to Friday learnings, and, bleed them through. And that's, we've got a couple of good kids there at Geelong that we're really looking at and giving, that opportunity to, and that's our aim as the coaching team. But I think patience is key. I think a lot of players move from club to club at a young age, seeking for that, first team environment, and they don't get it, and then they move on to the next club and the next club, and it's just not good for them. I think sometimes it's best to just, knuckle down, do the hard yards, and see where that gets you.
Ted, let's talk about two exciting youngsters there at the club, two homegrown players or two local boys. One, Nicholas Skotnitzer, who's had a couple of stints overseas in Europe training with various clubs in various countries, and Jed Tanich as well, whose father, Steve, is an icon at the club. Two exciting youngsters. How are they looking as part of the senior setup there at Stead Park?
Both are in the senior squad. Jed, young prospect, great kid, humble kid.
I think he had a stint at Melbourne Victory, didn't he, in the juniors there or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he did, and he's come back with the club. Like I said, respectful kid, humble kid, always willing to learn. I mean, he pulls me aside at training and says, can we do a one-on-one, 10 minutes after training? I don't get that often from footballers, but it just shows you where his mindset's at and how much he wants to succeed. And then you've got Nicky, young Nicky, great goalkeeper. And this is a good thing where you bring in goalkeepers and there's that competition. I mean, at the end of the day, these kids need to earn where they're at, earn to be in that first team, because nothing's given. You don't get anything for free in life. And these are the conversations we have. Again, it goes back to patience. And, if they're willing to, do the hard work, be patient, they'll get rewarded without a doubt.
hope we've answered Tony Hudson's question. That was a really good. I'm glad Tony brought that up. That was a really
good question.
very good question, and it's great to see that being integrated there at Geelong Soccer Club. Ted, would like to thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, it's great to put a face to the face-to-face conversation. We'll hopefully see you there on Saturday night at Stead Park, 6 p.m. kickoff. Geelong versus Essendon Royals. If you can't be there at the game, do tune into the live stream as part of NPL.TV's coverage. And it's great having grassroots football so accessible. And, mate, we look forward to following the fortunes of the Geelong Soccer Club this year in NPL 3.
Thanks, boys. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Good on you.
Thanks, Ted, and you too, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
All right, boys, that almost brings us up to the end of the show. It was a really good show tonight, and that's simply because we had Craig Filer back on deck. So it was great to have you back on deck, Craig, and hopefully we might even have you again next week. But we might have to see what Mrs. F is up to next week, hey? Oh, he's done it again. He keeps on doing it. I'm going to have to give him a yellow
Sorry,
card.
guys. I was typing again. I just don't want to make a noise while I'm typing. Yeah, look, hopefully I'll be back on next week if things... we'll see how things transpire throughout the week. But just a shout out to all the clubs. And before we get lots of messages from clubs saying you don't talk about State League 5 and 4. And if you want us to come on and get you on the... It's quite easy, guys. Message us, email us. Let us know that you want to come on the show, and we'll gladly get you on the show. It's not an NPL State League 1 show. It is about football right across Victoria. So if you do want to come on and have a chat with us, you know where we are, but don't moan if we don't.
Steve-O,
Yeah,
you've made a really good... Yep.
Well, we haven't. We've been through the NPL top tier. We've been through the NPL 3. We've been through the State League 1. We haven't been through NPL 2, which is
the Chaos League.
The Chaos League. Now, Craig is trying to veto us talking about this, but can we let's have a quick run through of the scores from Friday night. Dandenong City, Manningham United Blues 1-1.
Yeah,
there was a big away win.
Signals go in here, guys. I'm going to have to...
Big away win for Langwarrin at Pascoe Vale. Pascoe Vale were going along swimmingly, but they were upset by Langwarrin 4-1. Preston Lions and Melbourne City there at BT Connor 1-1. There was a win for the Western United's under-23s against Werribee City, 1-0 at Galvin Park. Moreland Zebras 2-0 over Brunswick City, should I say Brunswick Juventus? I'm not sure why I've got Moreland Zebras written down here. That seems to be a bit of an outdated team name, doesn't it? So, Yes. So the Zebras getting over the City in Brunswick. And we've got a couple of games tomorrow night, 8:15, Bulleen Lions and Northcote City at the Veneto Club. And down at the Grange, Kingston City and Eastern Lions also at 8:15. So the Chaos League of NPL 2 continues. Langwarrin claimed top spot after that win against Pascoe Vale after 6 rounds. And there's a couple of teams with that game in hand for tomorrow night. Also Northcote City and Melbourne City have a catch-up game on that is on the evening of April 11th.
And just quickly looking at the fixtures,
that's why they're only on 4 games.
Yeah, looking at the fixtures for next week. Once again, Friday night football. We've got 2 games. Brunswick Juventus hosting Pascoe Vale should be a beauty. The co-tenants there at CEB Smith Reserve. Northcote City at home to Eastern Lions. Werribee City at home to Bulleen Lions on Saturday. There at Werribee at the Costas Mitre 10 Park. Langwarrin hosting Preston Lions. That should be a good game, a really good game. That one's at Lawton Park Reserve on Saturday afternoon. Manningham United at home to Western United. Then Melbourne City taking on Dandenong City at Parade College on Sunday. And then Kingston City hosting Brunswick City on Sunday night there, 4:45 p.m, an unusual kickoff. But that's the case, and look, we just don't get a chance to cover all the leagues that we normally do. The NPLW that's also kicked off. We're into what
round 2 on the weekend.
2. What are some of the results from there, Steve?
Yeah, look, interestingly, in the NPL 2, no team is actually 2 from 2. So no team has got a 100% record, which is surprising. You think someone might. The results from the weekend, Friday night's games, Box Hill United 3, Southern United 0. The senior NTC 1, South Melbourne 6. And then the matches yesterday afternoon, Calder United 2, defeated by Alamein 4. Bulleen Lions and Heidelberg United shared the points 1-1. And Burundara Eagles 2-1 over Bayside United. So South Melbourne, Box Hill, Alamein, and Burundara Carey Eagles all on 4 points, 1 win and 1 draw each. That is the top 4 after 2 games. Bear in mind that competition has a bye in it, so some teams have only played 1 match.
Yeah. Now, just looking ahead to this weekend coming in the NPLW competition on Friday night at 8:15 at BT Connor Reserve. This is my tip for the biggest NPL crowd ever. Preston Lions at home to Calder United. Now, Calder United are not the Calder United that we saw of last year and the last few seasons. A lot of those players have moved on to the NPL A-League Women. What do they call it now? The A-League Women's competition.
A-League Women's, yeah.
And with Western United. But, yeah, Preston Lions at home to Calder United next Friday night, 8:15. It's going to be a bumper crowd there. Expect a crowd in the thousands, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And also just to mention, the VPLW kicked off over the weekend, and a couple of the winners there. Ringwood City on Friday night, 3-1 over South Yarra. Essendon Royals 3-0 over Casey Comets. A lot of the other matches played today, scores had not been submitted or posted on social media when I checked a little earlier.
Guys, let's leave it at that. It's been a great show tonight. We look forward to everyone's company on next weekend, next Sunday night at 8 p.m. And a big shout out to our major sponsor this year. We could not have done it without the carpentry by NJT and Home Builders course. So to Nick from who's president of Sydenham Park and who's the owner manager of carpentry by NJT and Home Builders course, a big thank you and a big shout out, gents. Until next Sunday night. Good night to you and good night to everyone. Hope you all have a great week, a great week ahead. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.